Well, welcome everyone. So excited to be here with you all. Welcome to the Medical Respite Center. This is the third Gateway Network service to open over the last year. I'm Rachel Biggs, and I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless. This Medical Respite Collaborative has been 8 years in the making. Hopefully you'll have a chance to look at our timeline and all the steps that it took us to get here to this place. This is really thanks to a huge effort by a pretty amazing collaborative working together. The City of Albuquerque, Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless, Heading Home, the University of New Mexico Hospital, First Nations Community Health Source. We've been working on this together for a very long time. This new facility and medical respite collaborative addresses a critical gap in our community. And it's a critical gap for people that are too sick to be on the street, but too well to be in the hospital. And we pair care here at the facility with on-site integrated health care and provide an exit to permanent housing to end homelessness. At the beginning of this collaborative planning process, partners around the room recognized there was a huge resource gap for hospital discharge. And we soon started working with the shelter provider partners to think about dedicated shelter beds. And those beds were paired with recovery support. We also paired that with medical respite motel vouchers, which became an additional temporary solution utilized by healthcare teams. After a robust needs assessment, national convenings, partner work group planning over the past 8 years, we are so excited to unveil the first dedicated medical respite facility in the state. This will provide continuous integrated healthcare and housing support, building on the existing resources that we have in the community already. And we would not be here without the support of our partners, the state Medicaid office, our legislature, the City of Albuquerque, and the mayor. Upon coming into office, Mayor Keller made a commitment to carry out this vision through the Gateway Center. And we are so extremely grateful for the leadership and the city's investment in this beautiful space that we are in today. This is closing such a critical gap in our community. And so now Mayor Keller will say a few words about the impact of medical respite and what that impact will have on our community. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, well, this is, just another example, I think, of it takes a village, it takes a community to help folks that are in need, and this is a case in point with dozens of different groups and people who've helped out. I know we have 2 city councilors here, Nicole Rogers and Renee Grout. They've been very supportive of the Gateway efforts and in general caring and investing in our unhoused community and in people who need it. And so I very much appreciate them today as well. And of course, there's way too many sort of thanks to go around, but I think now we have over a dozen partners at the Gateway. I want folks to know that roughly 500 people are getting help here every day. That is today, and of course we want to continue to expand that more. This is the third opening in just a year of a different specific type of service. And what we heard from many of you, especially the people who do this work each and every day, is that we have all these different gaps, right, in our system in terms of if you find somebody on the street, what can we do to help? Everyone kind of we all want to do that, right? But we quickly go to things like a sandwich or, this kind of thing. Like, it's a community. This is just like people just want to help. It's hard. It's really hard to get people the help that they need if you don't have all the partners working together. And I think hopefully what this demonstrates is that we can work together to make it not hard. It should be easy, right? That's why hopefully ACS, for example, can transport people to a facility like this, from a medical situation to a facility like this to recover so they're not recovering on the street. Or sobering. People can sober up here. Or we have the 24/7 drop-off that we just opened, so that finally we don't have to always have the West Side shelter and the long bus ride and all of this. We can actually have a 5 to 10 minute drive in a car, in an ACS car, to a place where 12 people spent the night last night for exactly that reason at our 24-hour first responder drop-off. And amazingly, I just checked on this. 12 people spent the night. There's now one person there, because the other 11 people got to go transported to a better place where they can get services. So we're just trying to fill some of these gaps so that it is easy to actually help people and get people the services that they need. Now, this particular gap has been, I think, especially problematic for our healthcare system. And so that's why we're very appreciative. This is going to be run by Healthcare for the Homeless. Round of applause. And our one of our other flavors of centers in here, I believe last night, Heading Home, just got that contract. Did I get this right? Yeah. Okay, just making sure I didn't mess that up. So Heading Home will be doing more out here at the Gateway, so we appreciate them. A round of applause for all the work they do. And of course, First Nations, long time a provider in all sorts of ways, including of last resort for those who need it. Linda Sunstone from First Nations, thank you so much. So I think we could really go down like the long list, but I do want to acknowledge that the wonderful young lady that updated me on what we did at the first responder location last night works for UNM. And so UNMH, also another partner now here at the Gateway. Thank you so much, UNMH. So I know there are others, and we're going to hear actually from a whole range of speakers. And we really wanted to focus not so much on elected officials like myself or anything like that, but on the providers who do this work each and every day. So I'm going to keep the rest of my remarks fairly short. But I want to mention this. 8 years ago, when people told me about these different gaps in our community, gaps that have existed for decades, despite the good work of everyone I just mentioned, whether it was that transportation piece to visit people where they're at, the ACS piece, or it was the fact that we had no 24/7 drop-off that wasn't an emergency room or the ER, or that we desperately need an alternative to the West Side Gateway, or that we need more recovery space, which is actually coming up hopefully soon in March. All of these things are what we've been trying to fill. And it has been difficult. It has taken a lot of time. It has taken a lot of investment. But now finally we are filling these gaps. And as a community, we're able to now take care of we were trying to actually get a general number, but if you figure we took care of about 1,000 people 10 years ago, this is throughout the network and our nonprofits, we have at least, if not tripled, we have at least doubled that. And of course, we know the need is much, much greater. But now we're able to demonstrate, look, we're making the investment, we're closing those gaps, more people are getting help. That's the goal, and we know how to do it. Now we just have to keep doing more of it and scale this up even further. And so that's why we'll be here again, hopefully for another announcement in a couple of months. And so I think with that, what I'm going to do is first turn it over to the staff, because this facility is run by our Housing, Health, and Homelessness Department. Just as a reminder, that didn't even exist 10 years ago either. Literally, the city did, almost nothing. That's not a discredit to the city, but they 100% just contracted. So we just had a financial relationship with our providers. That's what the world looked like 10 years ago. We've tried to build in and say we want to actually collaborate with people. And so we've built an entire department, the Triple H department, housing, health, and homelessness. And so this is the primary piece around health. And for us, that intersection between health and our unhoused community. And of course, there's a housing piece too, where we want people from here to then go. But in charge of all of that, and he's been with us now for quite some time, and he's also a licensed social worker himself, the director of Triple H, Gilbert Ramirez.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again. My name is Gilbert Ramirez, and I am very humbled to call myself the Director of Health, Housing, Homelessness Department. I was reflecting during this holiday break. I hit my 1-year mark this January when I stepped in, but I came with the administration and joined this team back in 2018 as a deputy over behavioral health because of my background. A few things I got to say that kind of brought us to this point of meeting gaps in our community. You know, Jenny and I have been in many table conversations around what does this infinity of continuum of care look like for folks who are most vulnerable and also needing services. And sometimes it's very easy for just to be forgotten, right? Until it's in our face blatantly that we have to deal with it. And sometimes the conversation is not so much having the conversation of the human aspect of the people that are hurting that need these services, but sometimes it's a little bit more tied to what's this going to cost us and the taxpayers, and is it a wise investment? And so we have to balance those messages as saying that. Today marks a very important day, and I'm going to take us back to a time where I think a lot of folks don't want to talk about. In 2020, we were all asked to do more, step up more, and make sure we prepare for the pandemic that we were all hit with across this country, worldwide. And at that time, we had a window of opportunity to really look at most of us who were affected by that, especially our healthcare systems. They were burdened to take on more with less. The beds were overflowing. You had staff that were burnt out, all deemed essential workers, didn't get to stay home telework. City side on that end too. I remember issuing that memo to my staff saying, you've been identified as essential worker. You will report to work, and we will continue. It was during that time that we had a quick little thing here that we created in partnership, which was a system of care meeting. That brought together most of our large partners as far as hospitals. It brought together our street providers, our nonprofits, city, county, all of us at the same meeting place, and weekly we met. And the primary goal was to save lives of unhoused individuals who had contracted COVID, who now needed a discharge from the ER to be able to free up a bed. And then we had to figure out how we were going to care for them. That was the preempting to, I think, where we are now in lessons learned. Although this has been in design for over 8 years, this was our test run to make sure coordinated care actually could work. And when we all came together, we could do it. And we did. We got people to the right place. Families went to a wellness hotel. Individuals were isolated in hotels. We stood up a blue pod and isolation pods at our shelter. We learned so much of what we could do when you had everyone at the table saying, we can make a better system of care for individuals who need it most. And these are the most voiceless. They're not the ones in our face who can call the governor or call the mayor. They're so far removed from that because they're just surviving daily. This respite center allows a whole new reflection of how we're going to serve individuals and meet a gap that's so important. And I say this because I know the folks in the room. We've got our electeds, we have our MCOs, we have our major hospitals. Everyone here and every one of them can probably tell you it's about dollars in the end. And what our goal here is to be able to show that in a year's time, after we launch this, we'll show the offset of individuals who have a safe place to go and heal and not have to return to a costly cycle, clog up in ER, take a bed from somebody else who needs it, because they had a 45-day to 60-day place to heal. And it's not going to require them to enter back into a system. Most of us in this room have the luxury of going in, having a procedure done, and going home to heal. And we can take our PTO. When you're discharged to the streets, and as you can see this week, we're going to hit temperatures in the 20s. I even saw 16. Yes, we're already preparing for our winter overflow in beds, and also understanding where do folks heal when the temperatures are that low and you're out on the street. This provides the answer to that need. And so without a doubt, the individuals who have come together to create this, I can't take credit. I feel honored that our department oversees this facility and what we're able to do, but it was the minds of the folks coming together to say we have a gap, we need the commitment. And it also shows that when we all come together for that intersection to say, yeah, this is something we need to address, we can get it done. And I will say, I know 3 programs have opened within this year. I'll say it's 8 months. In 8 months, we've launched 3. We acquired this building in April of 21. I know folks out there think, oh, it's taken forever and so much money has gone into this facility. I think if you are familiar with city gov practices, that's a lightning speed to see the projects that have opened here. And we are taking those dollars, we're being very diligent, we're opening these projects. And as you can see, the trauma-informed methodology that was done here, these are facilities with dignity that are humane to serve those who deserve it most. And that is what we are proud of, and that's what we asked our architects to design, thanks to Mullen Heller. We want to thank our construction folks, our Bradbury Stern. We've had so many people here contribute to making sure this project came to fruition. Our other departments, well, DMD probably loves us because, you know, we've taken our fair amount of staff to make sure this project got stood up, construction, timelines, and we pushed. And everyone met that. And to that I say, thank you. This is a big facility, and I've shared. The only other facility larger than this right now under the city's portfolio is the airport. So for size and comparison, it's big. But I also know I've spent my entire professional behavioral health career providing services in ID. I was a social worker in this area for years, and you've seen that this particular part of town has been decimated from services. There is a lack of a lot of things. There's a food desert. It's now a pharmacy desert. We'd be happy to put one here. You know, I say this because there's influence if we get state funding to build that here, right? Like, we have opportunity to meet those needs, and I will say this facility, we're turning it around as best we can. Maybe one of the best things that could have been done is that the city acquire this facility to make sure it is the thriving gem that it should be for resources for this community who need them, and that we continue to invest and attract tenants who are going to have a value add to the community to provide those services. So that's our goal, and we want to work together in tandem with that. So again, thank you for being here. To our partners, I say UNM has been phenomenal. I have not met a better team to work with in regards to kind of creating and setting up systems and transitions for care. And I've learned a lot from your team, so Kate, thank you. I reflect on half your team that's here, and I see your faces, and you ground me because, man, we've been through some stuff, and you know, not just COVID, but before. But COVID's brought us real close together to see what we can do, and this is a reflection of that. So again, details on this facility, I will say. Overall, we'll be able to have up to 50 beds, even if they're in shared rooms or capacity. So that's important for you all to know. We do hope to be able to serve individuals of up to 60-day stays if necessary, and and make sure that the patients are receiving that. Annually, we see an impact of probably 400 individuals that may be served through this once up and running in a full year cycle. We also want to say that a very important component of this was being able to infuse funding for the vouchers that will connect people to housing post-discharge here. It doesn't just stop once it's not like you're unhoused when you finish healing. But the last thing you need to worry about is, now where do I go? And what's that solution? So tying that together is super important. And again, we appreciate the thinking, the recommendations, and us carving that out to make sure, again, it's a true continuum of care. And I draw this infinity because folks may recycle back into one. And we need to be able to catch them at that point, which is our gateway model, and then connect them to the appropriate resource to make sure that they're stable as best they can be. Nothing's perfect when we get it off the ground. I've learned that doing this work for a long time. But when you have the partners in place to be able to pivot and address the issues and adjust accordingly, we're going to learn some lessons. We're going to gain some great data insights. And in the end, I hope that we're going to have a model that will be expanded. And I say the state has an opportunity to do this statewide. We're not the only town, a city, county that has this issue with unhoused. And folks shouldn't have to come from a rural area to heal here. Ultimately, you're best served in your community where your family is and your network is, whatever that looks like. It's not about removing you from that place and bringing you here and putting you back. So we encourage, models like this to be expanded elsewhere. And I know, folks, as we head into this session, I'd be failing my community if I didn't say, look at those investments. Look at those structures and how you can set them up, because our entire state can benefit from that. All right. So with that, I think I will close and pivot over. Thank you all. This room, I think, obviously shows by the turnout the commitment to a project like this and making sure it gets done. And we did it. We couldn't do it without our partners heading home. For the operator, Jenny, Linda, thank you for both being invested in this and doing the insight. Not my area of expertise, but boy, have I learned a lot. And with that, I stand behind it 100%. And again, please continue to spread that message of why this is so important in a continuum. As small as it seems, basic discharge care after hospital stay. How important that's going to be to make sure in the end we're saving dollars to insurance. We're freeing up beds for the hospitals to serve those folks who need it, and they're not just cycling in and out. That's costly care. We can spend our dollars better. And we hope this is one step in that direction. So thank you all very much.
All right. Speaking of some of our partners, the state legislature did support our independent need evaluation that is already done and ready to go. So we'll be evaluating our impact, and I'd like to bring up Representatives Liz Thompson and Representative Christina Parajon. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone. Thank you everyone for being here today. My name is Christina Parajon and I'm the representative for House District 25. And I was originally, before I was in the legislature, I was on this project, working right alongside Gilbert and many of you all. And I was on this project 2 years, and I feel really blessed to have been on this project. This place will really bring dignified healing to so many people in our community. And I believed in it. And this place has dignity and the good vibes that it has because it was designed with trauma in mind. Not just medical professionals, not just our incredible providers who put in work, not just our architects, but also people themselves who are experiencing homelessness also gave their opinions of what this place should look like. And that is what our legislature is committed to supporting, initiatives that our community has really brought and needs, like this respite center, and that our city is championing. Thank you.
So, good afternoon. I'm Representative Liz Thompson, House District 25. And the first thing I want to do is introduce my new legislative assistant who used to work with ACS. So I am well connected, and she's Brittany Barreras, and she is going to make sure that I stay on the straight and narrow. As I was driving over here, I saw several groups of unhoused individuals. One threesome was at a bus stop on Louisiana, and they had one of those kind of foil blankets, and they were trying, and it was just, and then you think about being ill or being injured on top of that. It broke my heart. It's unconscionable. And is this the fix-all? No, we don't. But it's a step in the right direction that is way long overdue. Thank you to everyone who worked on getting this to where it is. I'm a retired physical therapist, so I know how it is to recover. Excuse me, I'm recovering from bronchitis. But I want to thank all of you for your hard work, and please know I chair the House Health and Human Services Committee, and hopefully I will be chairing the Legislative Health and Human Services Committee. And I will commit to you that I am 100% on board, and we got to get the money people 100% on board. So thank you all.
Thank you so much. Now we're going to hear from Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless board member, Daniel Rowan. We're so excited to have you talking about the need and the impact in this community.
All right. Thank you. Well, as a board member for Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless, and even an individual with lived experience on the streets of Albuquerque, I'm really grateful to be here today to share some of my thoughts on the Respite Center. My day job, I'm a senior manager at Project Echo. They let me take my lunch break and come over here today. So, today really feels like an important step forward with the opening of this Medical Respite Center. For anyone who has ever had the challenge of being unhoused, I can't think of a time where you're more vulnerable than when you're ill or being released from a hospital. The absence of a safe place to heal turns a difficult situation into an impossible one. In 2004, the band Green Day released a single entitled Boulevard of Broken Dreams. And the premise of the song is walking the streets alone with nowhere to go. And the first time I ever heard that song, I was walking down Central, just near Louisiana, past the closed CVS, listening to the radio on a little AM FM, and I heard that song, and that song at the time was the soundtrack of my life. It was a boulevard of broken dreams. I was not well, and I had no place to go. And so coming here today and seeing this place, what a step in the right direction. And I wish that this would have been something that was available when I was on the streets and when I was being released from the hospital and was just returning right back to where I was. You know, and the one thing that I see about this respite center is that it offers more than just medical support. It's that it offers a place of dignity, safety, and hope, and a place that can lead people to long-term safety, which is found in housing. This center reflects our shared belief that everyone deserves a chance to recover and rebuild, and having the right resources at the right time and the right place is absolutely essential, and that's what Medical Respite does. The board of Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless, we are really excited for this partnership. We're very grateful to everyone who has helped bring this to life. Many years have gone into this, and we're confident that together we can continue to create solutions that make a real difference in the lives of the most vulnerable people. And I would just like to end by saying that boulevard of broken dreams does not have to be the theme song for this city. And having a respite center that's available is a step in the right direction so that it's not. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Daniel. All right, now I'm going to introduce UNM Hospital, Kate Becker, the CEO. We're so grateful that when Kate arrived in Albuquerque, I would like to say one of her first stops maybe was at Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless. And very early on, we had the opportunity to talk to Kate about the need for medical respite. And so that's why we're so excited and grateful to be here today with her, to have her address you all and talk about this key partnership. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you, Rachel. And actually, that is true, but I can't believe you remembered it. It's kind of like, oh, wow, that's so nice. So I'm Kate Becker. I'm the CEO for UNM Hospital. And I'd like to begin by congratulating the teams at both Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless and the City of Albuquerque for working together to bring this vision of a new program to reality. The role you will play here will truly improve health outcomes for those who need this service. For those of us at UNM Hospital, we are really excited to see a facility like this. As you know, our mission at UNM Hospital is to serve everyone, regardless of ability to pay. Unfortunately, many of our patients are unhoused, and too often those patients return to us after we discharge them for preventable reasons. Maybe a suture became infected while they were on the streets. They became sick again because they didn't have a safe place to continue to recover after a procedure or surgery. Hospitals are not set up to be respite centers. For most of us, after a hospital stay, we go home to rest and recover. But for unhoused people, they often have no safe place to go. Until now. So we're really proud to be working with the Medical Respite Center team to coordinate transitions so that our unhoused patients can find their way here for respite care. Our providers will ensure the respite care team will have specific discharge instructions for each patient for seamless continuity of care. That includes pharmacy instructions. See Don Goodwin back there. Follow-up appointments, and wound care if needed. This coordination between UNM Hospital and the Medical Respite Center will help fewer patients have to come back to us after they're discharged. And as you heard from Daniel Rowan, this place will offer dignity and safety during a time which can be really scary. This is one way we can improve health outcomes for our vulnerable populations, and this partnership really does create a more fair, more equitable healthcare landscape in our city. I'm truly grateful to the folks who have put this together, and we at UNM Hospital feel lucky to be part of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Kate. Now I'd like to introduce Connie Chavez, the CEO of Heading Home. Heading Home has been a key partner in this collaborative since the beginning, and Connie spans 2 organizations working on this collaborative, working at Barrett House with us originally, and now in his leadership role at Heading Home. We're really excited to have the support from Heading Home to ensure high quality and healing place for our medical respite guests as they recover. And I would love to have Connie tell more about this partnership.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for being here today. This is really a critical moment in time where systems come together, people collaborate together. We visioned this 8 years ago, and I'm so excited that now Heading Home is gets to be a partner in this, that we have worked on the systemic change, that we have partnership with the City of Albuquerque, come together with everyone to provide a place of dignity and to really bring the entire service, the entire package to those who are unhoused, to the most vulnerable who are ill, who need to transfer. We take them, we walk with them the minute they walk through the door, and we walk with them, we exit them out of homelessness to housing. That's the goal, is that everybody is healthy, happy, and whole when they come through this facility. So I'm super excited to be part of this. I'm super excited that I got to be part of it from the beginning. I'm thankful to Healthcare for the Homeless for driving this process, for making it happen, for including us and including me. This is tough work to do. This vulnerable population, they are human beings who need proper care and proper guidance to get out of the situation that they're in. And as we can see, there's a way out. We just have to help them there. So thank you, everybody, for being here, for all the support, for all the financial resources. You all are amazing. Thank you.
All right, and we wouldn't be here without First Nations, our partner, Federally Qualified Health Center, and Sister Healthcare for the Homeless program. They've been integral into ensuring that this project came to fruition. So really excited to introduce Linda Sunstone, the CEO. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Linda Stone. I'm the Director of First Nations Community Health Source. We are New Mexico's urban Indian health center, but also a federally qualified health center in Albuquerque, actually in this international district area. With me today is Samantha Madrid, who's our Chief Medical Officer, as well as Randy John, who's our Street Outreach Coordinator. And we're all very excited and thrilled to be here today for this very special occasion. I also, as a community partner, want to extend special thanks and acknowledgement to Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless, particularly Jenny Metzler, Rachel Biggs, and Miranda Cedillo, and all of her staff for their dedication, commitment, and compassion and vision for making this happen. And we're very pleased and honored to be a community partner with Albuquerque Healthcare. I also want to thank the City of Albuquerque, which provided crucial support for this effort. So I thank the city for that as well. And we're honored to collaborate with the Healthcare for the Homeless, UNM, Heading Home, and the City of Albuquerque in making this project a success. So the medical respite program, as many of our speakers before me have mentioned, is much needed in our community. Many of our unhoused neighbors with acute medical conditions often have nowhere to go except emergency rooms, and shelters frequently can't accommodate them, leaving us dependent on motel vouchers. But eventually the motel vouchers run out, and when that happens, there are no other options except for the emergency room. Even for many of us who are housed, navigating recovery, it can be a significant challenge, especially if you need a safe and secure place, but you also need a network of resources and support. By offering a safe place and space for recovery, the Medical Respite Program, individuals will receive the health care and time that they need to heal. In addition, the Medical Respite Program, as some of our speakers have mentioned, will also transition participants to permanent housing. Thank you. Thereby reducing hospital admissions and emergency room visits and saving on healthcare costs. But beyond being a place for healing and recovery, the Medical Respite Program is about health equity, ensuring our most vulnerable populations have access to the healthcare services they need by embodying principles of creating meaningful access to care for those who need it the most, but also fostering a community where everyone has the opportunity to achieve better health and well-being. So thank you once again, and we really look forward to being a part of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. And last but not least, Jenny Metzler, our CEO at Albuquerque Healthcare for the Homeless.
Okay, so I just threw out the script because the lights went down. I think that was my cue. So and I get a lot of time to talk about this and other things that I'm very excited about. So I think just what was reflected in the comments here, and all of you in the room and people who've had to leave already, is just the excitement about this place. And what I want to emphasize is the collaboration, the partnership, because we talk a lot about how we don't work enough, we don't collaborate enough, we don't think ahead, we're all doing our own thing, and collaboration is really hard, but collaboration is where we identify the issue. In this case, it was identified years ago by people who are experiencing homelessness and did not have a place to go, by our hospital partners, our service providers, the person-facing teams, I love our team, trying to get care for people when it wasn't there. We took that, we didn't just say, oh, let's do something. We said, who do we need to work with? What's really going on here? Let's look at the data. Let's do the needs assessment. Let's find some national methodologies. Ask the city to pay for the needs assessment. Do it independently. Emily Harmon is here. She's on our board, and she was also part of that independent evaluation years ago. Then take the numbers and use it as a conversational tool to get more stakeholders involved, because none of us will ever do enough. I think that was echoed throughout, to be able to really have high impact, sustainable, measurable, accountable change to address a wrong for people who are very vulnerable. Because anything we do or don't do is going to either do harm or do good. Another thing that I really want to emphasize, we were very deliberate about all of this, and we're going to measure it. We have the independent evaluation. There's so much leveraging of resources and thought and commitment to these shared goals of what medical respite is really about. So we're going to measure it, and we're going to be accountable to it. But we started with those people actually experiencing homelessness who did not have a place to go recuperate. They had some beds and shelters. We're building on that. We talked to the frontline folks who were talking to them and frustrated and doing the hard work. And then we brought in institutional relationships and commitments. I think that's really important, because this wasn't a bunch of people who were maybe going to get that really beautiful job in Bali and then disappear or retire, and the whole thing falls apart. We've seen that happen enough. And so I want to recognize this was across public-private sector. This was across sharing principles, sharing the commitment, sharing the model that we agreed upon, sticking in there when it got hard, when we had a pandemic. And what we did then was we just proved, Gilbert, thank you, we just proved, oh, this is the concept of what we've been talking about and trying to build, and we can do it. So we came out of that big. The city came in big. We've had political cycles, change in leadership at almost every one of these institutions, including UNMH, in the state, at the city, in our nonprofit, except Linda and I. Linda and I we just keep chugging along. But we've had change. The Medicaid office came in big. We had real clarity. We got the legislature and the money for the evaluation. The National Healthcare for the Homeless Council and the National Institute for Medical Respite Care didn't exist when we started. And now it's there, and they're supporting us with technical assistance and support. I want to emphasize that, because that's what's going to allow us to make this sustainable, to get people exiting to housing, and to be able to measure it and then scale it across our communities and across the country. So thank you, everyone, for being here and celebrating with us. We love when we do something and we don't say, oh, we're going to promise big, but whenever we finally get here and then everybody wants to have, as I say, butts in the seat or standing against the wall to be a part of this opening. So it's a beautiful facility. I thank all our partners. I thank all of you who've contributed. And I'm sure there are people who have questions. So I'm going to give myself the hook. I do want to recognize two people who were the glue all these years. Rachel Biggs, who's our Chief Strategy Officer. I'm going to get in trouble for this. She was not a chief strategy. I'm talking about collaboration institutions, but there are two people I have to recognize. Rachel was not in this position when she started, and she looked at me and she said, we can do this. It needs to be done, and I want to do it. So we've just let her lead it, and those of you who are involved know. And the other person is from the City of Albuquerque, Doug Chaplin. Doug's been in multiple roles, but he and Rachel, as soon as they both said, oh, we can do this, this is important, we need to do it, they just started to get it done. So they've really held us all together all this time, so thank you.
Jenny. And thank you everyone so much for attending. We're gonna have media tours get underway shortly, and so we can answer questions on those media tours. We'll be conducting those. And for everyone else, if you did not get a chance to join one of the earlier tours, please join a media tour and ask your questions. And we also have cake and refreshments to celebrate this wonderful achievement. So please join us for a slice of cake and refreshments. And thank you to all of our great speakers and our partners and everyone who is here to celebrate with us today. We really appreciate your support and look forward to more to come. Thank you.